Well, I heard your concerns last time, and I hear you say them again tonight. I didn't say anything at the last meeting. I was listening to the arguments on both sides, and I went home and thought about it for quite a while, and a couple things came to me as I was thinking. The first is that there is the issue that tax collectors throughout the county are making all different rates. Mm-hmm. And that's of interest to me, and I'm not quite sure why there is no uniformity among tax collectors, at least within the county. And it seems to me that it's probably the way the law is written, and that different municipalities can determine their rates and so on. But it seems to me that's one issue that you're saying, that other people are getting paid more than you're getting paid. Okay, so I can understand that, but as was said at the last meeting, it puts us in an uncomfortable position of raising your rate for a tax that we aren't actually asking you to collect, or not to collect, but this determination that you have to make is actually for the school board. Is that correct? This tax certification that you're doing is school board taxes?
No, the tax
is it real estate taxes
It's
too?
real estate.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's,
okay.
you know, at any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's actually taxes that we have asked you to collect, that you're asking to increase the fee that you can charge to certify that someone has paid their taxes.
That's correct.
If they have to undergo another real estate transaction. Is that where we are? Am I understanding this correctly? Okay.
Yeah, it's standard procedure for any property to transfer.
Right. Okay.
At closing, they have to have, you know,
right.
the tax certification. It tells them what the property taxes are for that property. It shows any outstanding bills that need to be paid and at settlement. It shows any liens, and it's for typically for a 3-year time frame, as I had already, you know, explained that piece to you.
Right.
So, and it's like Bob King had come up after I was done talking, and he said that you can't close on a property. You can't settle. Real estate agents can't settle on a property without that documentation.
Right. Right.
So, but I don't know of any collectors in Bucks County that don't provide the tax certifications. I don't think there are any that don't, but it is an optional.
Okay, so you don't have to provide that service. They could go to Doylestown and pay Doylestown, and they would tell them the same thing, right?
Doylestown couldn't give them current. They couldn't give them what I'm collecting right now. They couldn't
Okay.
give them current year.
Okay.
My information only transfers to Doylestown at lien time, January 15th. That's when they get my current records. They don't have my current records right now.
Okay. The other items that caused me some concern is that it's not that you took this job without knowing what it was about, because when you ran for tax collector this time around, you already were a tax collector, so you knew. Yes.
Yeah,
This time you knew the job. And you've done it before. You knew what your income was. You knew what the activities were that you were required to do, and you knew how much or how little you were going to get paid for those. So
That's
you
true.
went into this with your eyes open. So you did know it. Okay.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that
I truly, I never, you know, you guys are pulling this information out from me, like how much I earn and how much no, just hear me out. Yeah. My initial request, as I had indicated in the emails, is that the going rate is $35. I mean, Bob King said $35, but I gave you guys the information for Council Rock School tax collectors. In this school district, they're making $30 to $35 per tax cert. And I was told when I first took on the tax collecting job from Wayne Lambert, he's like, Judy, we're only getting $20 for a tax cert in Newtown Borough. You need to raise it. He's like, you know, go to council. This is what he told me in '08. He said, go to council and get it raised. And I'm learning this job in '08, and I'm like figuring everything out because I basically taught myself how to do the job. And when I realized that the tax cert was really certifying 3 years of taxes, and I could only certify what I had actually personally collected myself, I didn't feel justified in doing that, because in '08, when people came to me, the title companies, the abstract companies, the conveyancers would come to me, I could only certify what I collected on '08, and I would advise them to go to tax claim for prior years. And so for me, they paid $20 for my cert. For the previous years, they paid an additional $15. So they've been paying $35 all along since I took on as a tax collector, okay? So same thing in '09. I can provide 2 years, but I couldn't provide that additional year. And now in 2010, I can provide the full 3 years, so I'm just saying, pay me the $35. Tammy Sutton's getting $35. Upper Makefield's getting $35. I had somebody say, I think Wrightstown's fee is $30, so is Buckingham, but I heard something, I don't know, whatever, that there might be something higher, I don't know. But at any rate, from me to you guys, my initial question was, you know, this is the going rate in this school district, and, you know, I was just asking for parity there. I mean, you guys have asked me, you know, I have revealed a lot about what I'm not complaining about what I get from the school district at $205 per bill. You're right, I went into it knowing that. But you guys have been pulling all that out from me. You want to know what I earn, so I'm giving it to you. But to me, this discussion really should have only ever been about what is a cert fee worth, what am I getting, and what should I be getting?
Well, and that's what I'm coming back to, too.
Okay.
Okay, so then that's, and I understand other questions were asked of you before, but and all along you actually were billing 20 when, in fact, the ordinance stated 25. So we had that discrepancy
Right.
that, you know, which is unfortunate that wasn't
Yeah.
corrected a while back.
It's
so,
okay.
Yeah. Now, but the other thing that I find uncomfortable is that you're into the beginning of a 4-year term?
Yes.
4-year term. So at the beginning of a 4-year term, you're asking for an increase. I would, if this were being asked prior to the beginning of a new term or prior to the election of the next tax collector, where you're not asking for a fee raise for yourself but for the office, I would have found that a little bit easier to deal with. But I'm uncomfortable in the request coming now for you, coming into the beginning of your term and saying, well, you know, I'm in this term above, but I'm not really getting paid enough. I want you to raise my rate. So that gives me a little bit of discomfort. I would be happy to entertain the thought of this if it were at the beginning of a new term for a new tax collector or whoever were to win whatever election it is that's coming up. But I feel it is uncomfortable for me in this situation, just like, well, we can't vote ourselves a raise because we don't get paid anything anyway. But for us to be asking ourselves to get a raise at a point at which we couldn't really be kicked out, you know, it's not like going to get an increase in your salary when, if you're not performing, I'm not saying you're not performing, I'm doing this hypothetically, that the opportunity to take action isn't there. So I'm not saying that you're not performing fine as a tax collector. I'm just using that hypothetically. So those are the things that I've been thinking about and considering. I would certainly support changing the ordinance, changing the fee schedule so that it reflects the ordinance, so that you could collect the amount you should have been collecting all along. But I'm uncomfortable with the large increase that you're requesting now. I would be very much supportive of you and all the tax collectors in Bucks County getting together and saying, you know, this should be a uniform rate. Why isn't it? And taking whatever action you would need to do that across the county.
Well, in response to what you're saying, technically, if a new collector started in 2011, right, they're only going to certify 1 year. If anything, they should go back to the $20 because they can only certify what they collect. Really, you know, and I've spoken to other collectors, and actually, I'll give you an example.